Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. Do 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 do. Testing, testing. Yep. Okay. Hello, this is Chiak. We are back with Omen Exitio Plague, where we left off here, the Rebel King. Which, okay, I mean, I think we could go. Isn't there an achievement sheet? Either way, as a main character, turn down some particular activities, but, you know, odd. Let me just imagine you as my dead wife and let's get on with it. Either way, the Rebel King. After having finished searching the 3 villages, you continue the reconnaissance mission towards the rebel camp, which you had noticed on the map at the beginning of the mission. Smith seems worried that the disease might have reached the men from this village who are, in theory, friends and allies. At the entrance to this village, you find armed men waiting for you. They have European weapons. Smith gestures to his men to remain calm, while one of the villagers heads towards you and speaks. He is obviously tall and strong. Despite his garments hiding his muscles, he has a hostile and suspicious look, and when he talks, his face, which is disfigured and scarred, barely moves. I do not know how to say this name. My name is Makwawa. I fight against the German army for the liberation of my people. If you come in peace, you are welcome in this village. If you come to make trouble, you will not see the sunrise tomorrow. I am Smith, the captain of this regiment, and we have no hostile intentions. We'd like to discuss a group of enemies which have... Mwakwa moves quickly. An arm comes out from his garments, stretching out his hand in front of him, upright and steady, interrupting the captain's word. Good. You, come in. You, wait here. Makwawa points at you. Smith and Bestarai and gestures for you to go beyond the entrance of the village. You approach the captain and ask for explanations while you start walking behind the rebel chief. Rebels are on our side. They often spill over into British territory to escape the chase of our common enemy, the Germans. They are a good ally in this war. Makwawa orders some of his men to watch the other members of your unit. He has an iron and authoritative voice, but unlike Smith, he doesn't need to raise it to be heard. He moves his hands. The gesturing of his body seems to hypnotize anyone he faces, inducing them to bend to his will. The British government supports you, Makwawa. You don't need these precautions. We are on your side. Makwawa's mouth twists. Then he starts to talk. Makwawa is on his side only. I trust no one. I'll protect my people at all costs, British or German. If you are my guest, you follow my rules. Smith remains silent for a few instants. Then he turns to you and Bestarai, giving a knowing glance. The message is very clear. Captain nods to you, then hurries. Then he turns back to Makwawa. What do you know about the disease? Makwawa glares back at you. His eyes scrutinize you, trying to read your intentions. He switches from you to Bestarai to Smith, where his eyes stop. Their huge personalities seem to clash for a handful of tense, silent seconds, fighting a battle without winners or losers. Both men refuse to stop staring at one another. I have heard stories of people who cry blood, people who suffer. No sick man has entered my village. They die before. Let's go for observation. So I think we should still have what? I should actually... Don't remember what I have 28. So I'm actually close to getting... I think we need 30 for either speechcraft or observation. Anyway, observation. Although Mikwawa is unfathomable, seemingly incapable of showing emotion, his men immediately become jittery at the mention of the disease, exchanging anxious looks and holding their weapons to their chests as if they could protect them from the disease. Screams burst through the village gates. Your stomach lurches, turning upside down and pushing against your lungs. Your heart starts beating rapidly, while you can't help thinking that this was a trap all along. Were you wrong to trust these men? You run towards the screams, followed by Smith and Besterlai. Some rebels are carrying an injured man to a clearing where they put him down gently. You take a breath. Your comrades are safe and sound. Then you get to work, bending down to tend to the injured man. You ask for light. You need to see the condition of his wounds. The injured rebel is screaming in agony. He has a nasty wound on his stomach, and it seems painful, probably caused by the bayonet piercing his flesh, barely missing his organs. Maybe you can try to save him. Okay, I think my medication is 2, so hopefully... You barge through the men and pull out your medical kit. You clean the wound to prevent infection and quickly suture it carefully. That's all you can do at the moment. He must be taken care of, but he'll live. He grabs frantically at your sleeve. From the pained expression on his face, it seems he wants to tell you something. You move in closer. Not the well. I beg you. You don't understand what the man means. You like to ask him directly, but you suddenly realize how messy the situation is getting. Mikwawa is shouting at his men, who head inside the huts to gather weapons. You approach Besterlai to ask him for clarifications. Germans, come. You have no idea what Germans want from this village, but you don't like it at all. You're still reflecting on links between Mikwawa's camp and the German needs when you think of the injured rebel. If a battle is going to happen, you need to carry him to a safe place. You remember his face well. He seemed terrified. You remember he mentioned a well. What did he mean? You see Besterlai from afar and he gestures for you to follow. You instinctively move closer, and for a moment, the man loses himself, staring at you with a weird, almost stupefied smile. Then he blinks and pulls himself together, pointing at something. A well in the middle of the village. How did you not notice it before? The rebels are busy arranging the village defense. It's clear they weren't expecting such a sudden invasion, and they're running in all directions, bringing equipment and weapons, and yelling in their language. Smith walks away to warn the rest of the troop to get ready if reinforcement is needed. No one notices you, so you decide this is the right moment to get closer to the well and try to figure out what it hides. You lean out and try to look into the well. It's dark, but you search for an angle which allows you a better view. With your other senses vigilant, you can feel something. There seems to be some whimpers coming from the bottom of the well. You try to lean over further, but you see out of the corner of your eye that some people are coming, probably rebels. You hide. 2 men are approaching, carrying something, a corpse wrapped in a blanket. You're forced to look away, flatten yourself against the rock of the well, and sitting there, you hold your breath when the 2 men's shadows are projected beyond your position, listening. You hear the heavy weight swaying and the thud of the body thrown into the well. The sound of cracking bones makes you shiver. You think about Mikwawa's orders. Mikwawa's words. No sick man has entered my village. They died before. You wait to hear if there are any more steps, ensuring that the men are leaving, and then you come out of your hiding place and go to examine the well more thoroughly. That little abyss in the ground hides more than mere mud. Oh. What's my agility right now? Ooh. I could up my agility. And hopefully it'll work, even though Descent seems to be dangerous. Yeah, I don't trust my agility. So I do have enough experience points to go for agility. Helps you jump, run, dodge enemy hits, allows you to take advantage of speed in combat rather than force, but also to escape quickly if necessary. Okay. Okay, I guess let's go for it. I don't know in terms of how limited the experience points are going to be, but okay. So I got 2 for agility now. I don't know. I just did it, but I'm double checking. Let's go down. Let's see if I can. Let's see if it's successful going down the well. Damn it! You climb over the well with care and enter its mouth. You grab onto the edge and start to search for protruding stones to climb down. You can't see a thing. Your foot misses a foothold. You slip, falling into the well. You take a hard blow to your back, but you're still in one piece. How? My character was already injured before. I'm slightly hurt. Am I okay? Oh wait. Now now I'm injured. Okay. A sugary smell immediately attacks your nostrils. You perfectly recognize the rotting stench of the place. The sounds of your steps echo against the walls of the little cave, letting you know that around you, the descent widens into a bit of a dome, forming a half-spherical dip which surrounds you in a claustrophobic ring. You take a few steps before your right foot meets something soft. You lower your sight and you find a couple of wide-open eyes. It's the man you tried to help, dead and smashed on the well bottom. Your heart stops for an instant and you step back. When your eyes start getting used to the darkness, you begin to realize there are several corpses piled up in that well. Some kind of mass grave, or maybe the place where people convicted by Makwawa end up. A sudden wailing which bounces on the cave's walls makes you jolt. You crouch and stretch your arms out in front of you, groping around to avoid falling over the corpses. There must be someone still alive down here. You are sure of it. You touch many dead bodies, some of them already rotting. A knot tightens your stomach and you have to draw on all of your focus and willpower not to vomit. Hidden mounds. And assuming for going down the well, while you explore that awful pit of putrefaction, you find more recently dead bodies, and although you can't see it, you reach for the nape of its neck with your fingers, and your fingertips brush against a swelling you know well. The diamond puncture in the inner circle. Makwawa lied. You don't have a lantern, you can't see more than this, you can do nothing else but go back. You try to climb back up, but it is definitely more complex than the descent. A trickle of sweat falls down the nape of your neck, and the thought of getting stuck in this awful place turns your muscles to jelly. You can't imagine how these men felt when thrown inside the well. They found themselves still alive, left there in misery to die of starvation. You put these thoughts out of your mind. You must get out somehow. You yell up to the top of the well for help, but there is no reply. At some point, when your throat is becoming painfully hoarse, you see a rope being lowered into your prison. Without hesitation and with your eyes filled with tears, you grab it and quickly climb up to the surface. It's Besterlai who greets you with his bizarre, wild look. He smiles at you, pulling the top of the rope, allowing you to escape that terrible fate. Without thought, you embrace him, showing the extent of your gratitude and relief. Then you decide to go back to Smith and the rest of the men. Your clothes are still saturated with the stench of death, and you'll unlikely forget the horror you've just witnessed for a long time. Smith is gathering his men with his usual military frown. When he notices you approaching, he sees your distraught face. Alarmed, he grabs your shoulders and starts shaking you violently. Huntington, where have you been? What is the stench? Captain, I've searched the well in the middle of the village. It's full of corpses. Makwawa is hiding something. I think you're right, Huntington. We've picked a terrible ally, and I can't let this fanatic threaten me or my men. Smith's expression shows aversion and disgust towards the rebel chief, a tyrannical ruler able to subjugate his entire tribe with terror. After a slight hesitation, Captain seems to come back to his senses, regaining his military bearing, and gives an order to the men. Ready your weapons. The Germans are coming. All of Makwawa's men are gathered in the village square. You join them, getting into formation alongside them to organize the village's defenses. The Germans are coming. You're seized by doubt. Why did Makwawa need to lie about the disease? What is the real source of his secrecy and lack of cooperation? While you're deep in thought, you see Captain Smith moving towards the rebel chief, ready to confront him. The two men look intently at each other for a short while, their stares meeting as if trying to defeat one another, even before the two men start talking. It's trench warfare, a war of attrition, which neither of the adversaries seem to want to lose. Finally, when it's clear to both men that their rival won't lower their eyes, Smith is the one who starts talking. I don't like it when an ally of mine hides information from me. If we survive, we'll have much to discuss. What happens in my village is no business of yours. Makwawa's words make Smith twitch, and he becomes visibly enraged. As for the rebel chief, Makwawa is still staring straight back at your captain. The two men seem ready to come to blows at any moment. Smith's voice is getting louder and louder, and Makwawa's composure is starting to waver until the military man's verbal assault. Hi, Drake Wolf. I don't know how many people are actually in the chat. Oh wait, what's happening here? You fear you were wrong in sharing your doubts with Smith in such a delicate moment. You must try to do something to prevent the situation from getting even worse. Speechcraft? Both is speechcraft, okay. Well, I have 2 for speechcraft, so... Damn it! No! No! Okay. I'm doing good. Mostly, my throat's already getting dry, so I'm like looking at the time. Bit of a sleepy day. Okay. So I guess wasn't... Sorry, I just want to look at... My speechcraft is 2. Yeah. We just want to help you, Makwawa. Why won't you understand? Makwawa only needs help from Makwawa. Against the Germans and against the disease. The rebel chief answers with disdain and a hint of fanaticism. He's the ruler of this village, and he'll do what he pleases with no interference whatsoever. The two commanders are still staring each other down. The tension is palpable, and it looks like the disagreement could break out into an all-out fight. Your small regiment surely wouldn't be able to overpower Makwawa's private army. A gunshot, seemingly from nowhere, interrupts the heated discussion. One of Makwawa's men drops to the ground like a sack of potatoes, without a word or even a whimper. He dies suddenly, leaving only a dry thud and a small cloud of dust. Damn, these bad rolls, the dice gods don't like the speeches. See, I was a speechcraft doing well for me, so it surprised me when I failed this time, but... That's a question where, like, I tried to put another in agility, that failed. But in order to get 3 for speechcraft or even medicine, which is... observation and speechcraft, I think is what I mostly want to focus on. But at the same time, everything in me was like, I need to balance everything, which I'm not quite sure if that's going to work out. Either way, seems like things have started off. The shot comes from afar and is immediately followed by more. You're under attack. The Germans are here. The village is plunged into chaos, and you find yourself lost, pushed around blindly, not really knowing what to do. Just a minute ago, you were trying to conciliate Smith and Makwawa's men in their altercation. Now you have no idea where to go. With an effort, you manage to focus, look around to get a general idea of the situation, and prepare to face the enemies. You glance at those around you. Right now, there are no more disagreements, quarrels, or changes of attitude. Gone are the healthy men, the disease, the threats, and everything you have lived before the enemy arrived. Screams and gunfire are the only sounds which can be heard inside the village. You and the rebels are united in a single, desperate mission: survival. The Germans advance and more start emerging, ghost-like, from the dense jungle. Where you are crouched is overly exposed to the enemy, so when you notice O'Bannon running towards a nearby hut, you opt to follow him. Unfortunately, the cover fire provided by your companions doesn't appear to be enough to protect you from the German guns, so much so that you are forced to change your trajectory, ending up in another home. You look out into the darkness of the night, but you can't see anything. You aim your weapons out into the darkness. Outside, the raging sounds of fighting carries on. Shots and screams swirling together in the furnace of battle. Then, a different sound, clear and very close behind you. You spin around to see the light reflecting off the blade of a knife as it slashes through the air, right about at the height of your neck. Okay. Okay, well, I only have one for fighting. So I really should not go for fighting, but my agility is also just 2, so... Yeah, my character is just slowly getting more injured. I don't think either way, I would have failed either way. You try to dodge the enemy attack, but you still receive a flesh wound on your arm. However, with your opponent off balance, you manage to get him to the ground with a sharp kick. A rebel comes in right as the enemy is about to counterattack, and he fires, killing him. Yeah, I know. I'm now more than slightly injured. I'm now badly hurt. When can I first aid myself, please? By now, all of the Germans have reached the village. They are a resolute, disciplined group, never breaking formation. They move as one with such precision that they resemble machines more than flesh and blood humans. The rebels and your companions are hiding patiently, waiting for the right moment to attack and catch the invaders off guard. Time seems to stretch and all sounds become muffled. You're charging. You vaguely remember when you started running or screaming. Kicking the dirt of the ground beneath you, the dust engulfs you, accompanying your charge, swirling around you as if to lash at your enemies. You cannot see them from amongst this chaotic prelude to battle, but you know that O'Bannon and Vespucci are at your side, and you've even caught a glimpse of Bestelai joining the attack. Even though all of the rebels have joined you in setting upon the Germans, the enemy's defenses prove to be very effective. They stand firm side by side like an ancient Greek phalanx, and bullets rain down on whoever tries to get close. A barrage of gunfire ensues, wave after wave of lead crashing into your comrades and rebels. I have no idea. I don't know if I even said that right. I just said it how I thought it might be, but I don't know what this is. Phalanx? Phalanx? Dictionary.com, do you have this word? In ancient Greece, a group of heavily armed infantry formed in ranks and files close and deep, with shields joined and long spears overlapping. Okay. How am I supposed to pronounce this? Phalanx. Okay, phalanx. According to dictionary.com. Makwawa incites the rebels to fight and not give up. He's shouting for the first time since you arrived in his village. He resembles a deity, standing tall in the midst of his small army. He yells like a man possessed, waving his arms and shouting orders as if his words were infused with a magic capable of turning them into reality. A bullet kills him where he stands, piercing through his forehead, his mouth still open, his eyes wild, frozen with the look of someone who believes utterly in his own immortality. He falls to the ground like a defeated titan, and the rebels surrounding him stare in horror at the corpse of one who, after all, was simply a human being. Besterly is stabbed in the stomach with a bayonet, and horrified, you see Ed and Ryan fall under the enemy onslaught as well. A bullet to the back takes down the Irishman, while the half-Italian drops to the ground when a bullet hits his arm, and another enters his lower abdomen. Over and over you cry out their names, panic chokes you, and rips away from that eerie, suspended world in which your mind has been stuck. Time regains its usual speed, and the roar of battle shakes the very ground you run to. The very ground. You run towards Ryan to try and help him, but a German soldier is suddenly upon you. You manage to block the blade of his bayonet a couple of inches from your neck. Always with the neck. What? Okay, I'm sorry, hold on. Let's go to our notes, please. So I'm curious. Brother in arms. During the fight with the Germans, one or more of your comrades lost their lives? Interesting. I wonder what choices can take place in order to prevent that. Okay. So he's dead. Besterly is maybe dead. He got a bayonet in the stomach. And then both everyone's dead. And I'm badly hurt. Damn it. I don't have either. My fighting is only 1 point. Okay, I'm being... Oh, I actually successfully ran. The German soldier tries to skewer you with his bayonet, but you dodge his attempt with a quick sidestep and punch him square in the face with a left jab. You gain a couple of seconds as the enemy hits the ground, stunned and taken aback by your strength. Taking advantage of this, you run towards the hut. You will be safer there. Paralyzed by fear, you cannot move or use your common sense to do anything but catch your breath and listen to the sounds of the battle, which are growing more and more violent. Suddenly, a grubby hand covers your mouth, filling it with a bitter taste of sweat and dirt. You try to wriggle free, but to no avail. The man behind you is holding with the strength of an iron vise and prevents you from making even the tiniest of movement. A butt of a gun strikes your temple. You try to turn around, but can only make out shapes and colors that are too much to bear. You stagger and feel your knees buckle underneath you. You are knocked out and lose consciousness. Wake up, Huntington. Struggling to open your eyes, you regain consciousness. Your head is pounding, and it takes you some time to remember where you are and what has happened. Captain Smith is standing in front of you. We've got to get out of here and quick. With his help, you are on your feet again, and the first thing you do is check your pockets. They are completely empty. The backpack is gone. You have nothing. No. I had all those items, and I did nothing with them. Get move on, soldier. We got no time. Smith is fast in leaving the village. You follow him. Okay. The March of the Destitute. I'm gonna just take this moment to, like, sorrow eat my cantaloupe. And yes, that did escalate very quickly. We were just having a fun mystery, and suddenly almost everyone's dead? Majority of people are dead. Okay. The March of the Destitute. You have left the village and the battle you fought. You're walking exhausted and forlorn, along with the rest of the troops. However, at least for now, you're no longer in danger. I mean, we're still pretty injured, right? For that reason, I want to get some rest. I don't know if it's too close to the... I don't know if it's too... See, like, how far have they been walking already? Because if it's too close to the enemy, then obviously don't stop. At the same time, I mean, at some point you'll be able to get yourself, you know, not badly hurt. It's like 3 injuries that have accumulated upon me. Again, I don't know about marching at the night. Okay, let's just try to rest. The captain watches you, turning his gaze to the horizon, as if he were mentally calculating the distance to the coast where you moored your ship. After pondering for a short while, he nods. Some rest will do us good. You don't even get to take another step, your head is spinning. The foliage around you seems to sway in an attempt to reach you. Thrust out with darting trendrils that... Oh, we must be dreaming. Thrust out with darting trendrils that slither and hiss. You lose your balance and fall, hitting your head on the ground. You hear Smith's worried voice asking after you. Or maybe not a dream. What's going on, Private? Answer me, Huntington. The captain's voice fades out. You feel like you're sinking. And for an instant, the falling sensation brings you back to Makwawa's village well, falling toward a soft but awkward landing on rotting corpses. Before you can actually come to the end of that downward flight, your senses falter and you lose consciousness. You're home again, in the London you know so well. Was it all a dream? The disease, Zanzibar, the battle, did they really take place? You're walking around your home carrying a tray. It's loaded with hot tea, a cup of sugar cubes, and some butter cookies. You climb the stairs to get to the bedroom and open the door. You immediately turn your eyes towards the reclining woman asleep on the bed. You pause for a while, watching her form caressed by the sheets and her soft blonde curls spread out across the pillow. Moving closer to the bed, you call to her softly. She doesn't answer, so you put the tray down on the side table and shake her gently. Still receiving no answer, you put your hand on her shoulder and gently turn her onto her back. Helen's eyes don't see you, and you're certain they never will again. They're staring at the ceiling, or maybe right through it, probably begging for help in the silence death has cursed her lips with. Your Helen is staring into the void, and you cannot even return her stare. Startled, you stand up briskly, bumping into the tray. It crashes to the ground, shattering its contents. You then lean towards her, holding her corpse in your embrace, desperately trying to give her the warmth of your body. You whisper her name, a subdued listening, but there is no longer a voice to answer you, nor a hand to catch your tears. You come to with a stab of anguish. You're lying beside the campfire. You try to stand, but you're too weak. You don't need your medical experience to know that you're feverish. Your mind immediately turns to the mysterious illness, and a shiver runs down your spine. Have you been infected? You cannot let yourself succumb to this. You don't want to die such a repulsive death. You force yourself to stand as your stomach groans disagreeably, debilitating you in many ways, including giving you extremely violent waves of nausea. It takes you some time before you're able to pull yourself together. How are you feeling, Huntington? Are you sure? I cannot yet be positive, Captain. but I suspect my fainting earlier was not caused by exhaustion. Come on, Huntington. You can't give up now. Keep in mind that it could just be a simple malaria. As soon as we get to Stone Town, you'll be able to recover. The captain is dismissing your suspicions, or maybe he's just trying to reassure you. He's completely ignoring the possibility that you're infected, and he turns his back on you as he shoulders his backpack again, before looking you straight in the eye. Now get a move on. We need to get going right now. Smith gives you something to eat, and then he's on his way. You don't really feel strong enough for a long march, but you certainly don't have the luxury of resting or falling behind. You stand and follow him, forcing yourself onward. Okay, continue. You head towards the shore with the purpose of reaching the vessel you arrived on as soon as possible. Smith seems very anxious. He's probably worried that the Germans are in pursuit. Westerly died in the fight against the Germans, and so did Ed and Ryan. Damn it. You think of that mad Irishman and the half-Italian. They were good comrades and dear friends. Even though you only met them recently, they had become as close as brothers. I mean, considering this is a Lovecraftian story, I can't expect a happy ending, so to speak, so... Ed was so young, a half-grown kid who couldn't stop smiling. You have a deep feeling of anguish, remembering all the times he got drunk and whether you to admit it or not, he had been entertaining with his stories, his songs, and his endless mirth. Nothing could break his spirit, just as nothing could ever wipe that cheerful grin from his face. And what about Ryan? How many evenings had you spent talking to him, peeling potatoes and preparing the ingredients for his delicious meals? The half-Italian always knew how to mix ingredients to create the most satisfying results, in the kitchen as well as in life. His advice has always helped you move forward. A great sadness clouds your thoughts, but you need to have your wits about you and sort things out. Maybe talking to Smith may help you clarify the matter. Captain, the Germans who attacked us, I'm not sure they were aiming at the rebels. It could all be connected to the disease. What do you think they wanted exactly, Huntington? Okay, I think the disease and the strange stings on the neck of the victims may also be involved. Huh? I think the disease and the strange stings on the necks of the victims may also be involved. I don't know, Captain, maybe it's nothing, but I have a bad feeling. Okay, what? I mean, this sounds like, if we're going to explain something, do this, not internet this. What? Hi, regulator. Huntington, I doubt the disease has anything to do with it. There is a secret war going on between us. This is the reason they attacked. You can smell the salty air, and you can see the beach on the horizon, the one where you came ashore at the beginning of the mission. You breathe a sigh of relief. You doubt your body could have taken any more... Excuse me. You doubt your body could have taken any more of this. After some minutes, you enter the village where it all started. Still got something in my throat, hey. There lie fresh corpses, but you see that these have been killed in fighting. You fear the Germans are involved, but you keep it to yourself. You continue along the shores where you find a bitter surprise. The boat you ride here on is now unseaworthy since the keel has been damaged, probably in a storm. Smith's shoulders fall, losing, for once, his flawless military posture. You have no time to answer when a voice interrupts you from behind. Okay, I propose finding a boat, just in case I didn't read that part. I always forget to do that. Anyway, you have no time to answer when a voice interrupts you from behind. You all turn. It's a villager talking, approaching you all along the sand. He smiles and speaks English effortlessly. Should we be suspicious of that? Also, am I still badly hurt? 10 away from either getting speechcraft or observation. Good day, soldiers. Do you need to cross the sea? I was just about to leave with my boat. Everyone except for Germans are welcome. How big is your boat, and how many people are with us in this? How many people are left? It turns out the man lives on the coast nearby. He often trades with the British. He exhibits a certain distaste for the Germans. He has a small vessel on which you could sail to Zanzibar. Suspicious. Captain Smith answers in place of the man. Because we have no choice. Oh, right. I keep forgetting I need to read the thing at the bottom here. The man answers with a smile and gestures you to follow. Once again, the sea surrounds you. This time, however, the open blue expanse cradles you and you feel genuinely lighthearted. You're leaving a threat further and further behind you, although, rather than leaving, one might say you ran away. The man who's helping you return to Zanzibar doesn't have a very large boat, but is still big enough to carry you all to Stone Town. You have lost most of the regiment in the battle against the Germans. What is your name? Abbas. You character for experience points? I kind of wish that that these character things can update and will say, now dead, or now deceased. I can't believe I lost all my items. Is there a way not to lose your items? If there's one thing I'm upset about that. Okay, let's get back to the story. Why are you helping us? Let's ask. Since I was suspicious, I might as well just ask. Let's say I have a debt to the British Army. He smiles and says no more, but looking him in the eyes, you get the idea that he must have suffered a great injustice or abuse at the hands of your adversaries. You suppose the kindness he shows you is due to the hatred he has for the Germans, rather than his friendliness towards the British. Captain Smith sits in a corner of the boat, lost in thought, packing his pipe. His eyes are fixed on the horizon, but from time to time his gaze is interrupted, as if flinching. Since you left the rebel village, the captain has fallen prey to deep apprehension. You think he feels the weight of the unfortunate mission and the death of every single man he lost during the fight against the Germans. Is everything alright, Captain? What are you thinking about? It's personal. Still thinking about the battle, Captain? I don't know where our relationship is, but we'll try. It's my son, Scott. I hope he's alright. Don't worry, Captain. You'll see him again soon. The return trip is slow. The fisherman's boat, unsurprisingly, can't reach the speeds your previous vessel was capable of, especially with an unfavorable wind. Abbas seems to be doing his utmost and without ever losing his smile, but he obviously has no control over the weather conditions. Your stomach grumbles and the others seem hungry too. I have some dried fish. It's not much, but at least we won't starve. You bite and sink your teeth into the skin of the fish you are offered by the fisherman. It's salty and tastes like the sea, but you don't really care. You need to rest and eat something to regain your strength. The sea is calm and the sun is setting on the horizon. Your mission in East Africa has completely worn you out. You find a comfortable position. Close your eyes and fall asleep easily, cradled by the waves that softly rock the boat. Okay, so I should be at 28 now. You're in your flat in London. You're walking, a tray in your hands. On top of it, there is a cup of steaming tea, a few sugar cubes in a tiny plate, and some butter cookies. You climb the stairs, and when you arrive at the bedroom, you open the door. Helen is in bed, still sleeping. Last time we found her dead. Just lie down next to her, hopefully not dead body. Try to wake up. Let's go for the lie down option. You put the tray down on the side table. You lay beside her and gently hold her tight. You kiss her face. You brush her cheeks with your lips. Then you move down to her neck, her sweet scent accompanying you in your every motion. She turns to face you and opens her eyes, smiling in response to your affection. Good, she's not dead at this point. Then you know something, a dark stain starting to seep out from between her teeth. Small at first, but then growing larger and larger. The sticky liquid swells out through her gums, dripping from her lips. The same happens to her eyes. Black tears start to streak her face, its blood running more and more copiously. Her face and body bloom with festering sores. Helen's face is painted with terror as she tries to seek help, grabbing at you with her bloodied hands, but you push her awake, instinctively putting some distance between you. Her hair falls in front of her face, uncovering the back of her neck. There you can clearly see the strange punctures you saw on the corpses of the diseased corpses in Africa. No, it wasn't like that. You're sure she didn't die that way. You move further away from the bed as Helen falls helplessly on the mattress and starts screaming in a strange, unknown language. When she raises her hand, she looks at you with demon-like, inhuman eyes, as if she were about to transform into a beast. You refuse to look at her. You close your eyes and let out a loud cry in the darkness. You open your eyes, startled into sitting up. The stars are twinkling in the sky, and below you can only hear the low rumbling of the sea, rhythmically moving the boat. You look around and see that Abbas is the only one awake, although he doesn't seem to mind you, his gaze fixed on a precise point in the dark waters. As if his attention had slipped towards what lies beneath the water's surface, perhaps far below, to the abyss itself. The boat jolts abruptly, then begins to roll faster as bigger and higher waves loom over the bow. Come on. We just got... The fisherman starts to scream in his native language as he struggles to maintain the helm. It would seem something is trying to rip it from his hands. The boat rolls violently. The deck's bridge almost cries and groans in pain as if it were to break at any moment. And then everything ceases. The boat stills suddenly. The sea once again becomes calm and tranquil. The quiet only lasts for a brief moment. Something is coming out of the water, slowly. You can make out a silhouette hanging over the gunwale, swaying faintly. More dark shadows join the first creeping shape in the night, slithering onto the deck, taking hold of the vessel and starting to wrap around it tightly. They are enormous tentacles, soon embracing the boat entirely. Once again, you hear the sound of wood groaning under the pressure of those horrific appendages. A tentacle reaches inside the boat, like a snake searching for something. That something is you. You jerk awake, screaming at the top of your lungs. Your travel companions stare at you, unnerved. What's happening, Huntington? Smith watches you with a stark frown, behind which he's clearly trying to hide his apprehension towards you. Just a bad dream, Captain. I think I'm starting to miss the comfort of a real bed. Everyone does, Huntington. Get ready, it would seem we're almost there. You stand up and look over the horizon. You hope that some movement, however small, may take away the unsettling sensations that nightmare has bequeathed you. Over in the distance, you can see the land slowly getting closer. Okay. Yeah, so we have enough points. I want speechcraft. Because this is about noticing details. Speechcraft, I'm hoping, can get us out of situations better or so. I'm wondering if you have to not fail the speechcraft for the confrontation between the captain and Makwawa. I wonder if it matters. If you need more speechcraft if you want to be able to talk with Makwawa properly, because he is someone you don't know. Either way, speechcraft. Okay. Land at last. Your camp awaits you, the prelude to arriving back home. The tensions you've been accumulating begins to subside. Then as you come nearer the shore, you feel a creeping sensation. You cannot see the distinctive profile of Stone Town. Where are you taking us? The city is near, but I have some business to tend to here in Bumbwini. It's not a long way from here to Stone Town. All the coast southwards, you can't go wrong. You leave the fisherman's boat, and the man waves you goodbye with a smile as he makes his way for Bumbwini. His help is invaluable. Without him, you would have wandered the African coast aimlessly before dying of starvation and exposure. The man demands nothing of you, and you have no reason to break him despite the minor change of course. It's scolding me. I'm sorry I'm too paranoid to trust anyone that smiles that much. You're weak with hunger, and in this state you don't feel able to walk all the way to the city. Along the road you come across some local farmers' fields. The fields are bare and small, likely the only livelihood for the families who toil there. You don't know what to do as there aren't many options. Asking for food from people who can hardly spare it, or stoop to stealing. Let's ask. Speechcraft. Yeah, look at that speechcraft. You look carefully and see some farmers not too far away. You approach them with practiced ease and ask them for something to eat. Apparently, they have business with the British and they speak your language. You see them waver, but you insist, telling them you are here to protect them from the Germans. After rapidly exchanging a meaningful look, one farmer takes a basket and hands it to you, clumsily adding a disastrous military salute. You thank him warmly and retrace your footsteps. Okay, give me another experience point. You proceed towards the base, walking almost mechanically. Your legs simply want to reach their destination while your mind is left to wander. Okay. Just, in terms of what's next, this medicine's good. I feel like in terms of like the fighting, I feel like I either need to have agility. It's either fighting or agility. So at the very least, I feel like I need to up agility. At the same time, I still want observation. I still want medicine. But mostly I want speechcraft. The sun is setting slowly beyond the horizon, but you have not yet arrived. You choose to set up camp for the night, and luckily you find shelter in the seemingly suitable cave. The light from the campfire shines on the rock formation surrounding you, bathing it in shades of orange and red. Before you sleep, you eat the remaining food. Tomorrow you should manage to get to Stone Town easily, and will be able to delight your palates with a decent meal. Your head is pounding and you are exhausted after the long walk. You have the unnerving feeling that the second you close your eyes, there will be more nightmares awaiting you. Part of you doesn't even want to sleep at all. You lie still for a couple of minutes before falling asleep. You wake up at the crack of dawn. As you expected, it's been a grueling night. But fortunately, you have no clear memory of what you dreamt. Captain Smith is already on his feet, ready to leave. You resume marching towards Stone Town. If a boss was right, your destination shouldn't be too far. You hope it proves true, because every minute you spend in these lands will always be a minute too many. Hello, continue. Okay, what survives the plague? Excuse me as I just have a look at something on my calendar here. Anyway, this is probably going to be the last chapter. This way the timing of these segments go. At last, the outline of Stone Town appears in front of your eyes. You're relieved after the enormous weight of this difficult mission. Smith shares your relief, and you both pick up your pace to put this horrible experience behind you as soon as possible. But a few seconds later, you see a young British soldier running towards you frantically. They must have seen you from the watchtower. The soldier speaks with Captain Smith, but you can't make out a single word. A horrified expression, the likes of which you had never seen before, dawns on your captain's face. The two men sprint off towards Stonetown. You feel weak. The trip was trying both mentally and physically. Your vision is clouded and you suddenly faint right at the gates of Stonetown. Okay, I'm sorry. Are we just gonna be, we don't ever get some, help? Medical assistance, please? Please? You waken some hours later in a cot bed near the infirmary. You're surrounded by chaos, soldiers, doctors, and nurses ceaselessly going to and fro. Something terrible must have happened during your absence. Two men on stretchers are being carried inside. You stand and follow them. You're confronted with men screaming, convulsing, and others covered in sweat from the burning fever, sores devastating the patient's skin, blood soaking their sheets, stained with bodily fluids. The wailing of the dying and the cries of those who have lost their mind with feverish delirium echo throughout the large, bare room. In the middle of all the confusion, you notice a doctor. You approach for some kind of explanation. We were hit by a violent epidemic. Fever, sores, hallucinations. The doctor doesn't wait around and immediately leaves to go take care of new patients. You know very well the symptoms the doctor just described. You look around and notice bodies lying on the floor. There's nothing to be done for them now. There's absolutely no time to waste. You're a doctor. You too must do your part. You approach one of the patients and start to inspect him. He has an abnormally high temperature. He's babbling meaninglessly, and the beginnings of lesions are visible on his skin. Symptoms you've come to be familiar with. The same disease that has stricken East Africa. Didn't we get one of the items that we lost was the cure, or something that can keep it back? Okay, our medicines too, so hopefully. You roll up your sleeves and resume your careful examination of the patient, trying to understand how the contagion occurs, develops, and spreads. You can only conjecture that there has been some sort of contact between Zanzibar and the rest of East Africa. Probably one or more infected people have left their villages, running from the epidemic, unknowingly carrying it to the island. However, something still eludes you. Certain dynamics of this illness remains incomprehensible to you, alien to everything you've learnt through years of medical school and practice. You leave the sickbeds, doing your utmost to ignore the sounds of those screams and moans. You wish you could do something for them, but you need to talk to Smith and clarify why he was so upset at the information that soldier carried. Could there be news about the disease itself? As you ponder this new question, you freeze on the spot at the sight of one of the infirmary cots. I'm going to assume it's his son. Yeah. Smith is at the bedside of his son, Scott. The cold, military facade the man has worn all through your mission lay shattered in front of the boy's frail body. Smith's pain laid bare for all to see. Scott is convulsing and screaming incomprehensibly. As soon as Smith sees you, he leaves his child's bedside and approaches you impetuously. Huntington, I'm begging you, help my son. You must save him. You hesitate out of surprise, and Smith is almost on his knees in front of you, imploring you to help. Okay, still successful. You immediately set out to lower the child's temperature, and luckily your efforts seem to bear fruit. This surely won't be enough to save him, but at least you've soothed his pain and gained some time in case you should attempt a different approach later. Oh, I didn't read it, sorry. So, cautious. It's a critical stage. Small sores start to appear on the child's skin, most likely together with internal bleeding. He fears too late to intervene and tried to explain this to the captain to prevent him from getting his hopes up. Smith doesn't listen. He's not present. His eyes are fixed on the window. Scott screams violently, snaps you back to reality. The child is screaming and writhing in his cot, unable to find peace, as his skin erupts in small lesions. It's agonizing. You can't help but stare in wide-eyed horror as the disease burns up the little innocent boy. His torment comes to an end that night, and when, hoarse from screaming, he dies in the arms of his father, you look inside at the scene, convinced that Smith is crying. You're overwhelmed by a great feeling of powerlessness. You can't hold back your tears. You couldn't do anything. You weren't able to save Scott's life. Life in danger? So I'm wondering, if we, this makes me think that I should still, whatever happened, whatever choice I made or thing I failed, I should have been able to keep the items. Because I imagine if I had the flask of the stuff that was preventing the disease, I could have given to Scott. That's the only thing that I could think. Huh. Okay. Also, how many points do we have now? 16. Still on our way. Okay. Leave the infirmary. You haven't had a minute of rest before finding yourself yet again in the middle of a storm. You're exhausted. You come across some soldiers carrying a backpack and more exploration equipment. They finally found an expedition that had been missing for weeks. You move closer to learn more, trying to divert your thoughts away from the disease. The soldiers tell you about a troop which had left about 2 weeks ago in search of water springs inland. During the mission, those soldiers disappeared, never sending any messages as to their whereabouts. A recovery team was given the task of finding them, but all they could find were the corpses of the men in horrifying conditions. All of them. The soldiers stop talking and shiver faintly, then proceed to empty their salvage backpacks and inspect their contents. Your attention is drawn by the thud of a diary falling on the table. You see it there, surrounded by other trinkets. You approach it, intending to examine it. The cover is inscribed with the name of Private Eric McLean. You untie the strings that hold the notebook closed, then you open it and start to read. We are at the mercy of delirious savages. They were running towards us, their eyes bloodshot. We tried to locate an escape route, discovering only too late we had found ourselves in a horrendous trap. You rapidly flip through the rest of the diary, jumping back and forth through the pages to find more details. Last night I was plagued by terrible nightmares. Creatures only a feverish mind could produce. I believe the visions and dreams are closely linked to the disease itself. In what measure, however, I dare not say, unless I venture hypotheses that fall outside the canons of what we usually call science. Where are you reading, Private? One of the men has approached you with a curious look on his face, his eyes turned to the recovered diary. Let's be polite. You raise your eyes from the diary and address him politely. However, you observe a certain greed in the soldier's eyes, fixed on what you're holding rather than on yourself. The diary. Recently recovered by the team. It belongs to one Eric McLean. You see, I don't think you should keep this. It could contain some important information. The man extends his palm. He expects you to hand him the notebook. This man is a bit too demanding, speechcraft. Okay, let's try to convince. Yes, well, if it's so important, then it's in the right hands with me. The soldier grits his teeth and leaves. Sorry, I'm gonna drink of water right now. After this brief interruption, you're musing that what you have just read shares a number of traits with your current situation. Maybe you should continue reading later on, when you are better able to concentrate. You slip the diary into your backpack just as another soldier approaches you. The man informs you that you've been summoned by your commanding officer. Your heart skips a beat, but you try to keep your calm and follow the messenger. Oh. Oh, that's actually a really short section. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna just take a look at the timing here and everything and all that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So, because I am going to be reading this beyond just for Saturdays, I have to keep it short because the reading does take a toll on my voice here. So I will be back with this tomorrow. I'm just, I'm trying to decide because I don't know. I wasn't expecting that particular segment to be so short. Let's call it chapter. I wasn't expecting this chapter to be so short. But I don't know how long this chapter is going to be. Okay, you know what? I'm just going to continue with this chapter. If we stop in the middle, we stop in the middle. Maybe it'll be short, maybe it won't. And who knows, maybe the other sets I can keep it short. Especially during the weekdays. I'm not sure how long I can go with on there. So either way, The Curious History of a Diary. You nervously walk towards command. You can't help wondering if perhaps you've been summoned so as to be discharged. The officer awaits you in a room with rather Spartan furnishings. There is a desk almost exactly in the center of various African trophies hanging on the walls. Sit, Huntington. You sit down on the only available chair opposite the three officers. Oh, so wondering. Oh, we're healthy now. Look at that. We did get healed Okay. Huntington, you've proven yourself to be clearly unsuited to military life. You've made too many mistakes. Your presence was irrelevant in the outcome of the actions you took part in. Your attention seems to continue to be focused on the role you play in civilian life. We do not intend to punish you with any sanctions, but we'd like you to consider returning to England and resuming your medical practice. For this reason, I believe you will be glad to know you'll be leaving for London today. You rarely accept the officer's decision. After all, this is exactly what you had hoped for. I mean, I figured you're not going to get all the achievements in one go. So obviously, because I keep choosing medicine rather than or my fighting was just abysmal, I was not kept around. Either way, you take your leave and return to the barracks to pack your impending departure. You glance at your comrades' cots, both of the men you left behind and those you'll have to leave now. You close your fists around your backpack straps and take a deep breath. It's time to go back to London. Okay, I'm curious. I just want to see what that achievement's name is. What? Oh, wait. Sorry. Here you go. You cannot distinguish yourself as a soldier. Okay. Cannot save Scott's life. Ugh. You make your way towards the harbor. As much as you want to set sail for home, you can't help glancing one last time at the barracks and the training field as they slip away from your sight. Your thoughts go to O'Bannon and Vespucci, their stories, the fragments of life you spent together with them. They were good kids, both of them. Lost in thought, you almost don't notice that you have arrived. You're climbing on board when you see Smith on the deck. You meet his eyes but Captain stares right through you dully, almost unrecognizable. There is no longer fire in his eyes, as if his determination has given way, drowned in an ocean of despair. His child's death must have hit him hard. The captain was probably called back to London, or granted a period of leave for mourning. You drop your luggage inside the cabin you were given. It is small, with a bunk bed, a roll-up mattress, and a board chained to the wall, meant to be a writing desk of sorts. You return to the deck to look at Stonetown one last time, watching the sailors loading the last provisions. The vessel is now ready to leave. At last the ship is unmoored and sets sail. The sirens announcing its departure pierces your eardrums, and the light motion of the sea greets you once again. There's a long journey ahead of you, and you're going to use that time to collect your thoughts and try to rest after the whirlwind you've just experienced. You return to your cabin, shaking your head and trying to clear your mind. You're leaving Stone Town, for good hopefully, and with it, you'll try to leave behind the horrors you faced in Zanzibar. As you put away your belongings, your gaze falls on Eric McLean's diary in the pockets of your backpack. The journey could be a good time to read his journal. You look at it for a couple of moments, but then your stomach starts rumbling. You feel hungry and you need to eat something, although you could take a look at McLean's diary first. I'm going to read it now. I don't trust that someone on the ship is not going to take it, so... You start reading from the beginning. Dear Sir, in accordance with the normal... Oh my god, I can't read. In accordance with the National Service Acts, you are hereby called up by the British Navy to participate in a mission to the recently acquired territory of Zanzibar in British East Africa. Your experience and abilities are to be placed at the disposal of Lieutenant James Rogers and the small regiment there. The letter continues detailing a scouting mission. McLean shows a hint of disappointment in his diary. Apparently, he wasn't particularly keen on being called back into service. As you read the last sentence on the page, your stomach starts rumbling in earnest. You must eat something or you'll risk fainting, something you've become fairly well acquainted recently. You resume your reading later. You place the diary in a drawer, then leave your cabin for the mess hall. You sit next to some officers. Smith is in front of you. The captain stays silent all through the mealtime. He picks at his food, and although the room is filled with a joyful, carefree atmosphere, he visibly isn't in the mood for laughing or joking. As for you, he still can't look you in the eye. You aren't able to get carried away by the soldiers' good spirits either. Eat your meals in silence, with the constant feeling that you're being watched. You turn around, but there are too many people, and there is too much noise in the room. You blame your paranoia and force yourself to go back to the celebration. After all, your experience on the field has definitely worn you out, and you probably just need to relax. When the meal is over, you stand and leave the mess hall, but soon afterwards you get a piercing migraine. Okay. Just want to see. Oh, I have 30. Okay. So I'm wondering, do I wait? I'm kind of tempted to wait just to get another speechcraft. I feel like the other one I want to go for is medicine, though. I don't know. I'm really trying to think. Do I want to spend it now? Because 10 more, I can get another speechcraft, right? And I feel like I can be good with speechcraft for a while. Maybe. maybe. Okay. Let's go back to the cabin. You lie on the bed and in a few seconds you're deep asleep. When you open your eyes, it is night. The ship is in turmoil. There is a rough, stormy sea. A rumbling thunder suddenly booms through your cabin. A flash of lightning penetrates the night, flashing saber-like in the sky and lighting up the inside of your cabin, allowing for you an instant to make out something. You see a figure, standing in front of you, rifling through your desk in search of something. It has its back turned to you and doesn't notice you're awake. Let's try to sneak up. Oh my god, I'm so bad with agility. You stand, trying to move noiselessly. Blah, blah, blah. You stand, trying to move noiselessly, but your movements are clumsy, and in a moment of silence, a wooden plank creaks under your weight, alerting the thief. The man turns around and sees you standing there. Then he leaps through the cabin door, running away. You run after the thief, sprinting towards the ship's deck. The storm is raging. Tall waves, wind, and rain prevent you from seeing or moving properly. You stumble against the gunwale more than once, but still manages to pursue the man closely, as he's having the same problems as you. Suddenly, the thief missteps and slips on the deck, falling on the ground. He stands and turns to face you. You're opposite each other in the darkness. A flash of lightning illuminates a metallic object in his hand. Okay. Oh my god! Anytime it comes to a fight, suddenly all these all these skills I need to either be, I don't know. You use the bright flashes of lightning to look for something to help you through this uneven match. Your eyes dart left and right as your foe advances threateningly. Then you see it. There's a hole between the deck planks right in front of the thief. You step back, but your eyes give you away to focus on the obstacle you have noticed. The thief seems to realize your intentions and easily sidesteps the hole, preparing to attack. Suddenly, a violent wave strikes the deck, knocking you down. The currents drag you away, and your head hits the gunwale, making you lose consciousness. Again. You wake up sore and rain-soaked. The world around you is still asleep in the dark of the night, but the storm has faded now. You wonder how long you've been unconscious, as you desperately search your pockets for the diary. But soon you understand how futile an act it is. The journal has disappeared. Wobbling with your head pounding and your entire body hurting, you have to return to your cabin defeated. Come on! Every time I keep losing these items. I'm really annoyed. Okay. Night goes on without any further surprises, but you didn't sleep. You were too busy thinking about what happened. You reported both the theft of the book and the break-in to your superiors, making it clear that those responsible could be a spy working for a foreign government. The mysterious man, however, has vanished, as if he never existed. But you know there's no way he could have left the ship. One more week to the dock of Suez? You hope you will have recovered the stolen diary by then. Yet you deeply regret having lost Eric's diary. It could have contained some decisive clues to study the disease. The disease. Unfortunately, you have no idea who could have stolen it. I'm so annoyed. I feel like any of these skills, when it comes to really important moments, I just keep screwing it up. Because I don't have enough points. You are admiring the Eritrean shore from the deck of the ship. You have just passed the Aden Gulf, and now you are heading towards the Red Sea. The clear sky lets you enjoy the wonderful landscape all around your vessel. The sandy earth that blurs in the heat of the sun, and the vegetation warped by reflecting mirages. You look at these natural wonders for some hours before returning to your cabin. You're resting on your bed when someone knocks on the door. You can't help but wonder who it might be. When you open the door, you're stunned and surprised. Captain Smith is in front of you and stares at you with his usual military frown. Although you can sense his sadness, which he's trying to hide, profound discomfort hits you, and you can't help but think of poor little Scott and the pain he had to suffer. One more innocent victim you couldn't save. Huntington, I wanted to apologize for my elusive behavior these last few days. But it's not an easy time for me. I thought we could take advantage of this period to discuss what happened in Africa. I believe that may benefit both of us. The captain hesitates for a moment, and you see him grit his teeth. You want to say something, but you don't want it to sound like a justification. Of course, Captain. Smith takes his leave with a military salute, which you return, before closing the door. It's clear the captain is holding all his pain inside. He is probably used to repressing his emotions in favor of his cold and rational military logic. Yet, you're not in the field anymore, and you know he should probably offload these feelings before what's inside eats him up completely. Finally, the ship docks in the Arbor of Suez to gather supplies for the last part of the journey to London. The quays are filled with people doing all kinds of things. Workers carrying huge crates, people preparing to set sail with their fishing boats, drunks already stumbling around in broad daylight. The streets of the town seem to hug the shore, as if they are trying to engulf it in a tangled maze made of alleys and secondary streets. You have no idea what the thief looks like, but you need to take advantage of the moment and try to identify any men disembarking. I mean, if this is going to be continuous, then I might as well just go for the observation. There we go. Success! You carefully observe all the passengers disembarking, one by one. You've forgotten there were so many, but you keep your eyes peeled and your mind focused. There are soldiers with noses which could be exhibited in an oddity museum. Others have scars which could surely tell some interesting stories. You linger over a young man's profile. He's the same soldier who insisted you took Eric's diary for the first time. It could be him. Okay, here we go. That was actually the end of that chapter. Okay, so obviously I'm going to leave off here, and I will be back tomorrow with another reading, another set of this. I mean, okay, I guess the next one would be medicine or agility, considering how badly agility every single time I try. Maybe agility next, because when it comes to the fighting, it's either fight or the agility. Maybe even medicine, but so for those are two things it's come down to. So what are notes? I think probably no matter what. Sorry, not this. No matter what, I mean, we probably always just leave for London. It's just whether or not we get the Medal of Valor or not. Which we didn't really do, yeah, we didn't really do any fighting. I don't know, maybe that one you specifically had to fight? Rather than what I did which was run away? I don't know, maybe if I fought, I wouldn't... Even with fighting, I wouldn't have lost the items that I've gotten. Okay, that's what I'm thinking so far. We're at the, I don't know if I even ever said this right, but the Suez. Either way, we're going to end the set here. Or at least, and then I'll be back again tomorrow with another reading and continuing on the story of me failing this RPG, the wonderful RPG options I have. So, thank you for liking if you liked. Thank you for commenting if you commented. Thank you for subscribing if you subscribed. Thank you for favoriting if you favorited. Thank you for simply clicking on this video. Until next time, guys. See ya!